Aphrodite is the Olympian goddess of love, beauty, sexual pleasure, and fertility. She is regularly attended by a few of her children, the Erotes, who are capable of stirring passion in both mortals and gods at the goddess's will. Portrayed as both insatiable and unattainable, Aphrodite was born near the coast of Cytherea. On the foam, Aphros, Uranus's castrated genitals, created when they fell into the sea. Even though married to Hephaestus, she had affairs with all Olympians except for Zeus and Hades, most famously with Ares, the god of war. She also had famous romances with two mortals, Anchises and Adonis. Aphrodite's name is usually linked to the ancient Greek word for sea foam, Aphros, which fits nicely with the story of her birth. However, modern scholars think that both Aphrodite and her name predate ancient Greece, and that the story actually came because of the goddess's name. If Apollo represented the ideal of the perfect male body to the Greeks, Aphrodite was certainly his most appropriate female counterpart. Beautiful and enchanting, she was frequently depicted nude, as a symmetrically perfect maiden, infinitely desirable and as infinitely out of reach. She was sometimes represented alongside Eros, and with some of her major attributes and symbols, the magic girdle, a shell, a dove or a sparrow, roses and myrtles. Once during an important religious festival, the Hyperion decided to swim naked in the sea. The famous painter Apelles was so overwhelmed by the exquisite sight that he drew the famous, sadly now lost, painting of the ancient world, Aphrodite rising from the sea. Many artists have tried recreating it during centuries past. The sculptor Pericles, I am butchering that, had a bit more luck than Apelles. He also modeled his most celebrated sculpture of Aphrodite after Pyrene, but a copy of the sculpture has survived to this day. It is one of the first life-size female nudes in history. Plato says that when Aphrodite saw the sculpture, she said, "Alas, where did Pericles see me naked?" Worshipped by basically everybody, Aphrodite, the one who rises from the sea, was appropriately called Pandemos of all the people. However, she is also called Urania or heavenly. So some Greek moralists tried to make a distinction between these two Aphrodites, claiming that Aphrodite Pandemos is the goddess of sexual pleasure and Aphrodite Urania is the goddess of platonic love. Now, we know that this is the same goddess, called by numerous other contradictory epithets as well, which often describe the complex nature of love. Smile-loving, merciful, the one who postpones old age, but also unholy, the dark one, and the killer of men. Nice. Homer and Hesiod tell two different stories of the origin of Aphrodite. According to the former, Aphrodite is the daughter of Zeus and the Titaness Diona, thus making her a second-generation goddess, much like most Olympians. However, Hesiod retells a much more famous myth. According to him, Aphrodite was born when Uranus's genitals fell into the sea after he was castrated by his son Kronos. The goddess of love emerged from the waters on a scallop shell, fully grown, nude, and more beautiful than anything anyone had seen before or since. Aphrodite was so lovely that only the three virgin goddesses, Artemis, Athena, and Hestia, were immune to her charms and powers. Unsurprisingly, the second she got to Olympus, she inadvertently wreaked havoc amongst the other gods, each of whom instantly wanted to have her for himself. So as to prevent this, Zeus hurriedly married her to Hephaestus, the ugliest among the Olympians. Of course, this merely alleviated the problem. Aphrodite didn't plan to remain faithful. So she started an affair with someone as destructive and as violent as herself, Ares. Helios, however, saw them and informed Hephaestus, after which the cuckolded god made sure to devise a fine bronze net, which ensnared the couple the next time they laid together in bed. To add insult to injury, Hephaestus called upon all the other gods to laugh at the adulterers, and freed them only after Poseidon agreed to pay for their release. Poor Hephaestus. He couldn't have known what Poseidon saw. When Poseidon saw Aphrodite naked, he fell in love with her all over again. He must have found out later, since Aphrodite gave Poseidon at least one daughter, Rhode. And she didn't give up on Ares either. In fact, after the bronze net scandal, she bore the god of war as many as 8 children: Deimos, Phobos, Harmonia, Adresia, and the 4 Erotes: Eros, Anteros, Pathos, and Himros. Hermes didn't have many consorts, but he did have Aphrodite at least once. As the very name of their offspring, Hermaphroditus, suggests. And if we take into account that Priapus is also considered a son of Dionysus and Aphrodite, it seems that only Zeus and Hades managed to never fall for the goddess of love. But the second one didn't even live on Olympus, and the former may have been her father. When she wasn't busy making other people fall in love, Aphrodite had time to fall in love herself. Once she took a baby boy she had found beside a myrrh tree to the underworld and asked Persephone to take good care of him. However, when she went to visit him after many years, she instantly fell in love with the now unusually handsome mortal. So she asked to have Adonis, for that was the boy's name, back. Persephone wouldn't allow this. Zeus settled the quarrel by dividing Adonis's time between the 2 goddesses. However, Adonis preferred Aphrodite, and when the time came, he didn't want to go back to underworld. Persephone sent a wild boar to kill him, and Adonis bled to death in Aphrodite's arms. Amenomes sprang up from the tears of Aphrodite while she was mourning for the death of her lover. The couple had 2 children, Beroe and Galgos. Another time, Aphrodite fell for a Trojan prince called Anchises. Pretending to be a princess herself, she seduced him and slept with him. Only afterwards she revealed herself, promising him a noble son and warning him to keep the affair to himself. Anchises wasn't able to, so he was struck by Zeus's thunderbolt, which blinded him, and he wasn't able to see his son. Aeneas found the mighty Roman Empire. Paris was the third and final mortal to be blessed by seeing Aphrodite naked. This happened when he was tasked with judging who of the 3 goddesses, Aphrodite, Hera, and Athena, was the fairest. Aphrodite promised Paris the most beautiful girl in the world if he chose her, so naturally he did. Aphrodite made sure he got Helen, the Spartan queen, an event that triggered the bloody decade-long Trojan War. Few dared to resist the power of Aphrodite, and she had mercy for none of them. Hippolytus preferred Artemis to her, and vowed an eternal innocence. Aphrodite made his stepmother, Phaedra, fall in love with him, which resulted in the death of both her and Hippolytus. After Aphrodite found out that Eros had slept with Ares, she cursed Eos. Oh my god. Dyslexia. Why? After Aphrodite found out that Eos, E-O-S, had slept with Ares, she cursed her to be perpetually and unhappy in love. Diomedes wounded the goddess in the Trojan War, and suddenly his wife, Aegiale, started sleeping around with his enemies. Psyche would have gone through an even worse ordeal, but fortunately for her, Eros, Aphrodite's avenger, shot himself instead of her and fell in love with Psyche instead. There are some common misconceptions and intriguing tidbits about this captivating goddess. Many people mistakenly believe that Aphrodite is solely the goddess of love, but her sphere of influence extends to beauty, sexual power, and fertility. As well, additionally, it is often overlooked that Aphrodite's origins may predate ancient Greece, with some theories that she may have been a Phoenician goddess, Astarte, or the Mesopotamian Ishtar. One lesser-known fact about Aphrodite is her role in the myth of Pygmalion, a talented sculptor who created a lifelike statue of a woman. He fell in love with his own creation and prayed to Aphrodite to bring her to life. Moved by its devotion, the goddess granted his wish, and the statue, named Galatea, came to life as his loving wife. This myth serves as a reminder that Aphrodite's influence on the creative process and the transformative power of love.